one.
Hi, my name is Johnathan Thibodeau, and I'm the Technical Director of Chebucto CommunityNet. I'd like to talk a little bit about Fibre to the Home, basically what it is, why it's a good thing, why we think we should start putting this into communities instead of the current systems such as cable or DSL. So what is fiber? Fiber optic cable uses light to carry the data instead of using coaxial cable such as cable company or telephone lines to carry your data. Fiber optic cable uses light. Cables are made from extremely pure glass strands, so there's very little degradation of data from point A to point B. You can go over very long distances with just a single cable without needing to cut it up or splice it or amplify it or all the sort of things you need to do to regular electrical cables. Each strand is very thin, about the thickness of a single hair. So what that means is, in one single bundle of cables, you can have hundreds of fiber optic cables go in that one bundle. You can splice off to go to different locations. You can drop a couple cables off here and continue your run. It's very easy to put a lot of extra bandwidth in all at once. Each cable contains dozens of strands, so I'll edit this out. Each cable contains dozens of strands, so in each strand you can have hundreds of different channels, so each strand itself is multiplied into different frequencies of light. So not only you share the strand, but your neighbor shares it, the person next to you, your whole community can share a strand, and it can be chopped up many different ways. Each channel can carry about 10 gigabits of information. So compared to your connection at home right now, which may be 5 megabits or 10 megabits, something like that, this can be much, much faster. So the real benefit of fiber optic and why we like to endorse it is that it's what we call future-proof. Basically, it means that it will work today and it will also work tomorrow and in 10 years' time. There's currently no limit to what we can do with fiber. Unlike current cable and telephone solutions, there are no known limits. We can only push so much data over telephone lines and cable lines, and we know what those limits are with our current technology. With fiber, the sky's the limit. Every year the speeds go up, the number of channels go up. Basically, it's the last cable you ever need to connect your home for all your data needs. So you can have telephone, you can have internet, you can have cable TV, and you can have the service that comes tomorrow, which hasn't even been invented yet. The other benefit of fiber optic is that it can travel further without the need for repeaters. That's because it uses light instead of electricity, and you don't lose the signal over the very long distances because of how the cable is constructed. It's also very easy to put in more than you need. So while you may only need so many cables today, you may need more tomorrow. And it's very easy to put in more, not use them, and activate them at a later time. So why are we pushing for change? Well, basically, people have a limited selection of who they can choose from today. In Halifax, you're mostly looking at, for your average consumer, is one of two companies. Not many competitors means very little innovation. They tend not to compete with their prices. They keep their prices more or less the same rate, and they don't need to lower it to have any sort of advantage. There's limited control. You don't really get to choose what services you have, because as long as there's very few companies, all the companies provide the exact same services, charge you the exact same amount. So if you want, service X but not service Y, you don't really have a choice, because a lot of things are bundled and sometimes you just can't get the selection you like. So this is what we propose. A community-owned fiber infrastructure. What this means is a fiber box in your community connected to each one of the houses. So instead of connecting to, say, Alliance network or Eastlink's network, you connect to your own network. It is a locally owned network in your community. Your community has control over it. You have a say of who's allowed to connect to it, and you can control the prices more easily. Small local businesses, for example, can connect to this and provide services, whereas before they wouldn't be able to reach your house because they didn't have the current infrastructure that the big telephone and cable companies have. So here's an example, the Valley Community Fiber Network here in Nova Scotia. They started back in 2004, and what they've done, they've linked towns and municipalities along the Fundy Shore all the way down to Halifax with fiber optic running along the highway. They own this network, they run it, they manage it, and basically they have control over what happens. It's their network. So that's our plan for how we'd like to introduce fiber into your community. Thanks.